Feo, Hava Ferede, Horuho, Hova Feo, Hava Ferede, Hey Horu, Hey Horu,
Welcome to this live stream service for the Unitarian Universalist community of Charlotte. I'm Jay Leach, one of the ministers of our community, and my pronouns are he, him, his. Some of you watching this morning are aware that our attempt to offer a live stream service last week ran into technological glitches, leaving us with only an audio version of the service. And some of you are aware of the irony that we had worked to create a service that would introduce our theme for this year, beginning again, seeing anew. We were excited. It was a new day. It was a new way to offer a service. It was an opportunity to be back here in our sanctuary at 234, and it was an important step toward offering hybrid services with an in-person component here and a renewed understanding of how we offer a live stream version as well. And it didn't work. We failed. Again, there is an audio version posted on our website. I invite you to listen if you have not done so already. So here we are again in our sanctuary, just the service leaders present, safely distanced and regrettably, as is required in our building, masked. We're attempting again to offer a live stream service in real time. And the irony is, today's service is focused on forgiveness, on the willingness to let go of the past and start over, begin again. Oh, life is nothing if not clever forever puncturing our sense of ourselves with insidious little twists and turns that remind us of the potential for peril in the best laid plans of mice and ministers. The life of our liberating religion is sustained by many sources. We rest upon many foundations, rely upon many streams, among which we name explicitly Jewish teachings. Each year at this time, in the spirit of Judaism's high holy days, we offer a service that invites us to reflect, as our Jewish members and friends have done over the course of this recent week and a half. We contemplate the ways we have failed, or the way others have failed us, and whether or not forgiveness is an option. Today, we're suggesting that a service in this spirit can be good news, can be a source of new vitality, even joy. If you're watching this on Sunday morning, September 19th, I urge you to pause now, go to our public Facebook page, find there a welcome message. It comes from our membership coordinator, Kelly Green. Post in the comments your greetings to those who are watching along with you right now. On this day, in which beginning again meets forgiveness as a new beginning, thank you for offering us another opportunity. To each of you, welcome.
Our chalice lighting words today are from Joanna Lubkin. We light this chalice in honor of Yom Kippur, the Jewish Day of Atonement. May its flame call us to search our souls, sifting through the past year to see where we may have missed the mark. May its light guide us toward the courageous and open-hearted apology, toward repair of relationships in our lives. May its heat warm our hearts to offer forgiveness to those who have wronged us, allowing us to release the chains of grudge and blame that have bound us to them. And may its strength help us take the actions that are within our power to make this next year more just, more loving, and more peaceful for our communities and for all of humanity. Again, welcome to worship with the Unitarian Universalist community of Charlotte. We are always pleased to know that newcomers have found us and are watching with us. If you are new to our community, a special welcome. We hope you find meaning in your time with us today. Should you wish to learn more about us, to have a conversation with one of our ministers, or to find out how to get more involved, contact our membership coordinator, Kelly Green. If you're watching live on Sunday, September 12th, the easiest way to reach Kelly is to go to our public Facebook page, find the greeting that she's posted for all of us, and mention in the comments that you're a newcomer. Or you can also email her at kelly@uuccharlotte.org. Again, welcome.
Years ago, when I was a young minister in Houston, Texas, my dear friend Roy Walter, who was then the senior rabbi at Temple Emmanuel in Houston, invited me to attend a special contemporary Yom Kippur service. And it was at that service that I received this booklet. It is a service that was created specifically by that congregation. I'm reading from the booklet that I received at that Yom Kippur service so very long ago. This day offers us a still point in a turning world, a day when we can catch up with ourselves. And in that stillness, we can turn to face the faces of our past and our future. Turn to watch ourselves with distance and with love, turning freely in this still space. To watch our past flow through us to the future. Let us then resign from the frantic pace of other days, and in the moving quiet of this day, be honest with ourselves. Holy, 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 holy and on, each holy followed by an emphatic exclamation point. It's how Allen Ginsberg opens his wildly ecstatic footnote to Howl, repeating the word holy, count them, fully 15 times. He then embarks on an encyclopedic effort at exaltation, writing at one point, everything is holy, everybody is holy, everywhere is holy. Among the many things we might say about religion in its many different, even conflicting forms is this. Religion is our way of trying to remind ourselves of life's holiness, of the sacred in the ordinary, of the divine spark infusing all that is. Let's imagine, imagination being such an essential part of religion. Let's imagine that those words, holiness, sacred, divine, not as literal claims about metaphysically mysterious otherworldly phenomenon, but rather linguistic pointers, nudges, hints, creative suggestions for the here and now. Taken this way, we might imagine religion's reminders of the holy as invitations to recognize life's grandeur, life's wonder, life's capacity to spark awe. We might imagine religion's reminders of the holy as efforts to, in the words of the Rabbi Abraham Joshua Heschel, to awaken us from the stupor, to awaken us from drowsiness so that we might regain, as Heschel puts it, the state of wakefulness for our enchanted souls. We might imagine that religion is trying to remind us that life is about more than getting by, getting through, more than careening between anger and apathy, acquisition and antipathy. We might imagine that religion is inviting us to make more meaning from our lives than can be contained in chemical compositions or biological processes alone. No area of life is outside of such imaginative possibilities, is so opaque that nothing of the sacred shimmers through. Thus, Ginsberg's affirmation of the ubiquity of holiness. So, among many other things, religion has infused our thinking about time, with frequent reminders of time's potential holiness. As Allen Ginsberg declares with ecstatic exuberance, holy time in eternity, holy eternity in time. How we humans mark time can be or can become holy. This is what lies behind the Jewish designation of the recently observed so-called days of awe. These particular days from before sundown on Monday, September 6th, until after nightfall on this past Thursday, September 16th, aren't inherently any more holy than any other days in the year. And yet in Judaism, these days are designated to remind Jews and potentially others of, in Ginsberg's words, the holy time in eternity and the holy eternity in time. So Judaism tells an imaginative story that the world was born during these particular days and that the world begins again each time we circle back around to these days. During the days of awe, the celebratory joy of the new year quickly moderates to the solemnity of Yom Kippur, literally the Day of Atonement, the holiest day of them all. It is, as many of us know, a time for introspection, for taking account of one's life, for asking of oneself, in what way have I wronged someone, broken relationship with someone, lived at odds with my deepest values? It is, as our reading suggested, a time offering us a still point in a turning world, a day when we can catch up with ourselves, resign from the frantic pace of other days, and be honest with ourselves. Notice that tone, that intent. This is not religion as judge, religion as critic, religion as some unrelenting declaration of our unrelenting guilt. This is a sacred invitation to see our lives in some larger sense, to weigh who we have been against what we say really matters. A way to reset the rhythm of our lives to align more nearly to who we wish to be, to begin again. It's not easy, of course, to acknowledge the way that I have hurt someone, to admit my own shortcoming, to forego defensiveness in an honest apology. It's not easy. To take matters into our own hands proactively, to initiate the conversation, to own my own fault unequivocally. It's not easy. And yet it is for this that Jews set aside this day, believing that in it there is or there can be hope. The hope of reconciliation, the hope of restored relationship, the hope that things don't have to stay the way that they are. Tense, fractured, uncomfortable. It is a way of infusing the holy into our lives, our patterns, our habits. It's a way of summoning the sacred, of appealing to a life out behind the barriers of stridency and animosity. It is an invitation to see anew the divine in those whom we have damaged in some way. In the words of that service that I attended so long ago, I have offended you, neglected you, belittled you, or demanded too much of you. I am truly sorry. Forgive me. Let us be one. And with that, or so Yom Kippur proposes, with that, we can begin again.
This reading is from Dr. Serene Jones, president of Union Theological Seminary in New York City, who was talking with Krista Tippett on NPR's show On Being. Dr. Jones said, "There's so many moments of pain and trauma in my own story. It became most clear when I was going through a divorce, and I was having a hard time forgiving the man I had been married to. And I realized that the hatred and the trauma and all of those things that we carry with us, we're not afraid to let go of them because they're so painful. We're actually afraid to let go of them because they've become so comfortable. Our injuries can become like warm blankets that we wrap around ourselves, and our grief and our pain and our trauma. And they stop us, if we wrap them tightly enough around ourselves, from feeling vulnerable to the world. And I came to see that until I was willing to let go of those blankets of grief and fear and rage and anger and shame, that I actually couldn't experience the world. And for me, that letting go is a profound description of what forgiveness is. And that's the moment that one moves from grief into the transformative power of mourning in the context of having a future."
There is, of course, another side to forgiveness. As hard as it is to apologize, to own honestly the pain that we have caused, this is perhaps harder still. What if you are the one who has been wronged in some way? Someone has hurt you, has belittled or berated or been unfair to you, to your face or behind your back. Why should you forgive them? Someone has done something that made my life harder, or that misrepresented me or maligned me, or that was annoying or irritating or maybe even painful. Why should I forgive them? Especially if they don't apologize, come to us with an explicit admission of what they did. Why should we forgive them? To hear Dr. Serene Jones, forgiveness aligns with freedom. Forgiveness, she says, has to do with letting go, with getting on with our lives, with creating the prospect for days more deeply infused with the divine, more attuned to awe and wonder. I've long loved the way my dear friend Mark Bellatini puts it. Forgiveness is to begin to give up all hope that the past could be different than it was. Forgiveness, I like Mark's honesty here. Forgiveness is to begin to give up all hope. An admission that it just may not all happen at once. Forgiveness is to begin to give up all hope that the past could be different than it was. In forgiving, we concede, or at least we begin to concede, that no matter how long we may obsess over it, no matter how much we may agonize, play out various scenarios of what if, no matter how much we may wish we had done something, said something, had someone else intervene in a way that would have made things different, we can't change the past. We can't change the past with our families of origin, with the religion in which we grew up, with relationships in which we were once involved, with work situations, friends, family members, with those we love the most. We can't change the past. Forgiveness is to begin to give up all hope that the past could be different than it was. Isn't that why Dr. Jones concedes letting go is a profound description of what forgiveness is? Letting go, getting free, moving on for yourself. Not for the one, not for the ones who have wronged you. Now, I may not be ready to let go. The Buddhist writer Sharon Salzberg recognizes with deep honesty that forgiveness cannot be rushed or engineered. The spike of defensiveness we feel when someone advises us to forgive and forget shows how deep our pain has burrowed. She continues, although the people who advise us to do this may have the best of intentions, forgiveness cannot be done on command. That does not work, and it is not at all fair to us. In hearing, we should stop feeling our very genuine bitter feelings. We may find ourselves defending our pain and our right to continue to feel it. That's why Sharon Salzberg also writes, forgiveness is not a single action, but a process. So what if today you or I carry some pain, some hurt, the result of something that someone has done to us? And what if, as Sharon Salzberg admits, we're resistant to, we're even resentful of the call to let go, the invitation to give up hope that the past could be different? If we find ourselves with those feelings today, perhaps there's another place where you and I might start. With ourselves. With forgiving ourselves. Isn't it the case for all of us that alongside the times we have hurt others and the need to ask for their forgiveness and the times we have been hurt and the need to forgive, there's another arena. Our relationship with ourselves. We could start by forgiving ourselves. For who of us is not on occasion, at least, often perhaps, harder on ourselves than we are on anyone else? Why did I say that? Or why didn't I speak up? Why did I do that? Or why don't I do something? I know I shouldn't have, or I know I should be. I'm not doing enough. I'm letting others down. I'm a hypocrite or an imposter. Those voices, those late in the night voices, those alone with ourselves voices that can be so hard, so harsh, so unforgiving. Perhaps for some of us, the spiritual work of forgiveness, for now, has to do with letting up on ourselves. Letting go consciously, intentionally, extending forgiveness to and accepting forgiveness from ourselves. Desmond Tutu once explained, when I talk of forgiveness, I mean the belief that you can come out on the other side a better person than the one who is consumed by anger and hatred. Well, with all due respect to the great bishop, it's actually John Prine who sang it more memorably for me. You can gaze out the window, get mad and get madder, throw your hands in the air, say, what does it matter? But it don't do no good to get angry, so help me, I know. For a heart stained in anger grows weak and grows bitter. You become your own prisoner as you watch yourself sit there wrapped up in a trap of your very own chain of sorrow. Holy, 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 proclaimed the poet. Everything is holy. Everybody's holy. Everywhere is holy, Ginsberg declared. Rambling through so much, he finally draws to his final crescendo with the last lines of ecstatic profession. Holy forgiveness, mercy, charity, faith, holy, ours, bodies, suffering, magnanimity, he writes. Holy, the supernatural, extra brilliant, intelligent kindness of the soul. May you extend that kindness of the soul to others. May you receive that kindness of the soul from others. May you offer that kindness of the soul to yourself. May it be so.
You gotta put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. Put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. You gotta put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. Put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. Don't give up hope. Don't give up hope. You're not alone. You're not alone. Don't you give up. Don't you give up. Keep moving on. Keep moving on. You gotta put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. Put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. You gotta put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. Put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. Lift up your eyes. Lift up your eyes. Don't despair. Don't you despair. Look up ahead. Look up ahead. Sin is there. The path is there. You gotta put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. Put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. You gotta put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. Put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. I know you're scared. I know that you're scared to too. But here I am, next to you, right next to you. You gotta put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. One foot in front of the other and lead with love. You gotta put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. One foot in front of the other and lead with love. And lead with love. And lead with love. And lead with love.
Good morning. I'm Ann Doss Helms, and I am co-chairing your Board of Trustees this year with Paul Wilson. When I was elected to the board 3 years ago, we discovered that we'd run out of those little ribbons that you attach to your name tag that identify you as a Board of Trustees member. It took us a few weeks to get them ordered, and when we finally got our ribbons, all of us new members joked about we were really VIPs now. Of course, these ribbons are not designed to be a status symbol. They're to help you identify us when we're mingling in the fellowship hall or in the vestibule or sitting beside you in the pews at services, so you can share questions and concerns and ideas with your board. Well, a lot has changed since 2019. Today, 7 of our 9 board members have never attached their ribbons to their name tags because they were all chosen and elected after we went into pandemic quarantine mode. In these last couple of years, we've all faced loss, individually and as a community. We've been forced to change, sometimes in ways that are painful, sometimes in ways that reveal unexpected strengths. I have so missed seeing friends at services. And yet I've marveled at how our ministers, our staff, and our members have created these virtual worship spaces for us. I still have no idea how our musicians did those Zoom ensembles so well, but I'm really glad they did. I've gotten to know some new members who joined us since the pandemic began, sometimes meeting them in Zoom rooms, and sometimes sitting outside in the sun, outside 234, singing and playing games. So now we're stepping carefully toward a new reality. People sometimes think that the board's job is to supervise the ministers and staff, to essentially run the life of this congregation. But that's not really how it works. The board's real work is to set the vision for the community and help us all figure out how to get there. So what is our vision for emerging from the pandemic? I don't know yet, and I'm not sure anyone is sure. But we're starting some good discussions, and we want everyone to be a part of it. We probably won't be packing into the fellowship hall again anytime soon, but we do want to talk about what's the core of this community that we need to preserve and how we want to evolve together. So look for some virtual Meet the Board sessions soon and be thinking about what our future looks like. Because even during a time when we look back at the past to atone, to mourn, to forgive, we need to think about how our pain can shape us into a better community.
For some on this day, the weight of concern bears down so heavily that there's little room for other matters. Annie Flint and her family, mourning the untimely death of Annie's niece. Thelma Reynolds and her family, mourning the death of Thelma's brother. Margie Storch and Tom Moore and Margie's family, mourning the death of Margie's mother. Kate Stroud and her family, who on this morning are so deeply concerned for her mother's health. Carrie Ann Wolf and her family, concerned as her father is now under the care of hospice. These are the needs we know and share, so that as a community we may extend our collective concern. But there are others. Parents who are so concerned about their kids, and children who are concerned about their parents. Loved ones who are caring for loved ones. Relationships that are strained to the breaking point. Physical maladies, mental health concerns, grief from losses in recent days and weeks and months, and in the course of these last hard 18 months. We name these because we know them too. But concern extends beyond the boundaries of this community. Communities, families, friends whose lives have been shattered by recent violence in our own city. Neighbors who remain unhoused and unsafe. Whole regions now suffering the ravages of fires and floods. Whole nations reeling from war. A whole world that is mired in the maladies of economic and environmental and cultural and racial injustice. It is for us, this community, to open our hearts as broadly as possible in compassion. It is for you, beloved members in need, that we offer today our love and our prayers.
Good morning. My name is Franklin Mcclelland, and I'm the head of this year's UUCC stewardship team, delivering this message, unfortunately, from my house and not in person as hoped. A fun task this, asking for your continued financial support to an institution that for many of you has existed only virtually for the past 18 months. YouTube services, weekly email blasts, and the occasional Zoom event are a poor substitute for in-person contact and connection, no matter how hard our staff and volunteers try. So I get it. In a complicated world where we are inundated with worries about health, money, voting rights, etc., it's relatively easy to let this place slip down your priority list. So here's my message to all of you, and to be honest, to myself. Keep the faith. The day is coming in the not too distant future when we will be able to convene in person. When the phrase return to normal will become more than a hypothetical. I don't know when or in what form, but that day is coming. There's a reason this year's message theme is beginning again, seeing anew. But until that time, it's critical to keep the UUCC on firm financial footing. Our cost structure is mostly tied up with our staff and the building, and these expenses are largely the same regardless of whether we are in person or not. And like it or not, pledging choices we make today, while we are remote, impact our ability to offer the sort of events and programs we've come to expect when we do get back together in person. So, I'm asking each of you to invest in the UUCC and commit to ensuring that we can emerge out of this pandemic stronger than ever. If September is your pledge month and you've not yet pledged, please consider doing so through any of the available methods. One last thought. The universe has thrown down the gauntlet and has given us a challenge. How will we respond? I take feedback from a 1932 line from President Franklin Delano Roosevelt during the darkest days of the Great Depression. He said, "In these days of difficulty, we Americans everywhere must and shall choose the path of social justice, the path of faith, the path of hope, and the path of love towards our fellow man. I certainly hope you agree and will keep your faith throughout your ongoing contributions. Please stay safe and have a great fall weekend. Thank you.
I invite you now to a time of meditation. And in this time, I invite you to call to mind some situation in your life in which you are at odds with someone else. Perhaps it is because of what they have done. It may be because of what you have done. It very well could be both. Or instead, I invite you simply to attend to that internal voice, the one that calls you out unrelentingly. So, with these in mind, I invite you to hear the words of this meditation as aspirations, hopes, sparks of holy possibility. Settle yourself. Deepen your breathing. Close your eyes. Here, at long last, we begin to let go of old hurts, of past wrongs, of deep wounds, of long-standing resentments. To let go is not to excuse or deny. To let go is not even to accept. To let go is to choose to move past what was said or not said, what was done or not done, what was intentional or accidental, what we can't now change. We relinquish the past. We embrace the present. We look with new hope to the future. We begin again in love. Blessed be. Go with courage, my friends, the kind of courage that would see new possibilities, that would pursue new ways of being and relating, that would cultivate courageous connections. Go with courage, my friends.